Hello, sports and entertainment fans. Welcome to the 1620 Podcast Show, the High Noon Show. I'm Ken Hollywood Himes, the sports guy and entertainment guy that's not shy, and we're going to go back with part 2 of the Jess Jordan Show here, one of the premier bodybuilders, life extensionists in Canada. This show is produced to you in part by our good friend Robin Unger, working the tech, and over there, creative director Jeremiah G. Righteous Jones. Armstrong. Welcome back to the show, Jess Jordan. Great reviews from the first podcast. It's only been a couple weeks, but we thought about a few things after the fact, and you thought about it, and you gave me a call as a gentleman you are, and said, well, let's talk more about nutrition. Let's talk about the sets themselves and the workout so men and women can grow stronger and live longer. So are you okay with that?
Yeah, totally.
Fantastic. Well, welcome to the show once again here. So what would you like to start with today?
Well, just sort of like the lifestyle of bodybuilding, which includes all of it, but nutrition and training, and there's so many facets to it that people would, I think, be interested in hearing about that are obvious to me now, but they didn't used to be. So,
you mean inside and outside the gym?
Yeah, because you're only training, an hour and a half a day,
okay,
if you're aggressive, but it's a long day. There's a lot of stuff to optimize your results. So I'd like to get into that today more.
Sure, let's start there then.
Okay.
Please. So optimizing our results in the gym, a lot of us struggle for years, do the wrong things, overtrain, undertrain. So this is a fantastic opportunity to learn how to do it properly as we go forward.
Yeah. Well, I mean, number one, what are your goals? And then that's usually the conversation I start with clients is, what are your goals? And typically they're doing a lot of things wrong. How's your diet? What's your diet like? Run me through a day. A lot of mistakes. What's your sleep like? What's your training like? Why? So to touch on more of those questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, let's do that. So I'm one of the worst weightlifters of all time. I've tried. I went back and forth. My lifestyle wasn't very good from time to time, but I would always maintain a little bit of strength, and I was able to go back to it. The thing about muscle memory, does that actually exist? Do muscle fibers actually remember when they were scarred and taken to the max, and can people come back and be stronger the second time around?
I've seen it with men that used to be in shape. Let's say when you're 25, you bench 350, and now you're 45 and you haven't trained in 20 years. You'll get it quicker than a new guy.
Okay, cool.
Ideally, if you're dialing it in, your body will remember. It's hard to surpass an old PR, 20 years later, but muscle memory is a thing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So getting back to the priority training and the lifestyle of a bodybuilder, does it mean like when you go to a haberdasher, which is someone who does clothing and stuff, do you have to get your pants taken in? You mean that kind of lifestyle where everything from what you eat, drink, the mattress you sleep on is a part of that lifestyle?
For sure. The mattress is a good one. I just got a new mattress recently. It made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Tailored clothes are a thing, but luckily or strategically, I don't wear clothes that have to be tailored. You see, NFL guys wearing snakeskin suits that are clearly expensive and they look bad, even though they're well tailored. So if you're 300 pounds, don't wear a suit unless you have to. But I think part of the lifestyle, too, is people ask me, how did you get to a point where your lifestyle can be all bodybuilding? And I created it. I don't want to wear a suit. I don't want to work a normal job. Right. So I'm in the gym all day. My whole life is bodybuilding. And what I do is talk to clients about bodybuilding who are already achieved quite a bit on their own. So they already get the basics of nutrition and everything. They're doing it 75%. So let's bring them up to 97.5%, which makes a huge difference.
Do you get famous people coming on board? People you cannot talk about? Or?
Locally famous.
Okay, locally famous. Well, we get a lot of
professional
really
guys.
Famous, Hollywood people hiding in the background here in different little areas of the city. Athletes?
Yeah, athletes. And that's something, actors. I worked with a musician recently. He wanted to get in shape he had a big video debut in LA.
Okay.
So he had 3 months to get in shape, which one thing also I have to do is expectation management. He's a good-looking guy. He's never trained before.
Right.
Can you get me in shape in 3 months? It's like, a little bit. Not all the way. Not shredded six-pack, but it's amazing what you can do. And he was vegetarian, too. So we switched that.
Oh, good. You hit the vegetarian thing.
Yeah.
Is it possible I mean, there were a few in the Mr. Olympia days when I followed it that actually were vegetarians. Then it was really odd back then. You were an odd duck if you were doing that. But today, do you see more and more vegetarians and getting rid of the meat and the cardiovascular effects possibly of meat? Or
it's a topic that people are interested in.
Yeah.
High-level bodybuilders cannot be competitive, in my opinion and experience, with a full vegetarian diet. If you're trying to be healthy, it can work. Vegan can be a little limiting. I know since I switched from vegetarian, my gains just tremendously improved. No comparison. I know Carl Lewis. You know Carl Lewis?
The runner.
The best, the sprinter in the 80s and 90s.
You betcha.
He was a vegetarian and a vegan, self-proclaimed, during his best years, where he was setting world records in sprints. And if you look at his body, he looks terrific, but he's slim. Mm-hmm. He's not overly muscular. He's probably 6'2", 175.
And that was around the time of Ben Johnson.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting story.
Because
I studied this a lot, and I wrote a paper on this in university on Ben Johnson and the whole scandal about that. It was a very interesting story. He claims he was framed. But he beat Carl Lewis. Mm-hmm. And he was not a vegetarian.
Right.
He was training more like a bodybuilder. And he looked more like a bodybuilder. And then he was disgraced, and it's a shame that story happened that way.
It was Winstrol, though.
He was busted for Winstrol.
Okay.
Stanozolol.
Okay. Which is used for horse. Is that like a horse medicine?
It's used as a veterinary steroid.
Correct.
For like racing dogs, greyhounds and whippets.
Oh yeah.
It's also used very popular for humans.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any medical application anymore though. But
if you were a dog, what kind of dog would you be?
What kind of dog would I be? It's a good question.
Muscular Boston
A muscular
Terrier?
dog with its testicles, I must say.
Still have the testicles.
That just pains me when dogs don't have
Where does
them.
that leave me?
You still got your testicles, right?
We can talk about that later.
Okay.
Like a good beating in the back alley here. So I'm going to stay on subject here. Back to the lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
I remember there's a guy who makes equipment here. He's got some very famous people in his family, and they own part of the building. He used to drive around in a sports car in the 60s with his big guns hanging out, and I forget the name of the family here. Just a really nice
in Victoria.
guy. Yeah. Wow. He looks like Christopher Walken's. And he's a little older now, and I hope he's hanging in there and doing good. And his son worked with Mel Brooks. They were local guys here. But that was kind of the lifestyle back then, was to drive a Corvette or drive a Camaro or something and just hang out the old pipes outside the... I don't see you doing that. I don't see you putting on a big show. You just seem like a real guy without ego or attitude. Enough attitude to carry you, to get you through training sessions and stuff.
Yeah.
But you seem more of a gentler gentleman kind of bodybuilder than, historically I've ran into a few times where guys are just crazy and...
Yeah. I mean, I've always tried to be that way, but it came pretty naturally at first. Like, I didn't want to show off. I was the opposite. I'd train when no one was there. I'd wear baggy clothes. I didn't want people to see me. Mm-hmm. And yet I trained hard.
What year was that? When
early, like 15 to 20.
Okay.
And even 20 to 25. Like, I was pretty understated. Like, I didn't want attention. I wouldn't go out and beat her, because every time I did, people would make stupid comments. Okay. Oh, sun's out gunzo, bro. It's like, yeah. Dumb comment. I went to Kitts Beach. This is funny because when I was a kid,
Vancouver.
I grew up near Kitts Beach, and I always, every summer, I'd like drive by, walk by, and there's like a sea of bikinis and people. And would it be fun to be there? Imagine if I was muscular on the beach there, the ultimate. And years later, I did. I was looking good. I went there, and it wasn't that fun. It was just total posturing bullshit. And I got the same suns out, guns out probably 5 times. It's like, wow. So that's not my scene.
Kitts Beach, everybody.
Kitts Beach. It's like FOMO is a thing that I really grew up with, like fear of missing out. Oh, if only, that would be fun. If only I was normal like everyone else.
Did you ever go to Wreck Beach?
Yeah, I live right by there.
It's a nude beach next to University of British Columbia, isn't it?
It's beautiful, yeah. When I started going, there was a lot of, Japanese tourists that would come fully clothed with their cameras. And that sort of ruined the vibe. But that's a cool scene, Wreck Beach.
Yeah.
Is there any bodybuilding going on down there, or just showing off?
Not much, but they would appreciate your body. They were pretty open about their comments, whatever you got. But UBC was the gym I trained at. That was the best gym
Wow.
That's where I started.
I went down there years ago, and I looked, and it didn't look good because there was just an old man standing naked off to the side, and I guess we hit the wrong path. So we had to find our way to the other edge, and we went around the corner, and eureka, naked people everywhere. And I was with this fella that just got out of jail, Jimmy, and Jimmy Johnson from Arkansas, and he just thrown a sheriff through the window, and he was getting back to being a good guy again. So I said, come on, we'll get some beer, we'll head down there. And sure enough, Jimmy throws a beer bottle behind him, and it breaks. So we have like 6 or 7 hippie guys all standing naked, ready to take us on. It's like, this big gang warfare, two semi-nude guys and 6 naked. Can you guys go pick up that bottle? And Jimmy's got an ego, so he's not going to go pick it up right away. He'll pick it up when it takes his time. And then anyways, thank goodness we didn't roll around and do any MMA, and it would have been just awful. But I've never been back since. And right after that, one of the Christian ladies, one of the lady used to do the vitamin C commercials, the orange juice commercials, came down and raided the place to get everybody off. Then it was a bit of a wild west back then.
Yeah.
So it's a little better now.
I've been there recently, but it did seem like there's authentic people that want to be naked and free, and there's a lot of lurkers and people that kind of change the vibe. So unfortunately,
it didn't actually turn me on to see naked bodies.
Typically, they're not the most attractive either.
Yeah, I think generally when you're in your bathing suit or something like that, it may leave a little more to the imagination. But that's just me. But
yeah.
Well,
I mean, I saw another trainer post today about summer's coming and everyone should get in shape and beach season and abs and yada yada yada. Which is a good point.
We hear that call all the time.
Yeah, and I guess it's February or whatever, so you got to get in shape. It takes a few months. It's just funny because the summer is another FOMO. It's like, well, if I could have a 6-pack for summer, then I'll be happy. Yeah. It's like, yeah, well. So that seems to be a common question around now. Hey, how can I get abs?
Which you keep up to date all the time, so you don't have to go on these extreme diets to...
Yeah, I don't even care about abs in the off season, but they're there because I got so much muscle and I don't get that fat.
How much time do you spend on abs?
Good question. Very minimal. Okay. Especially off season, 0 directly.
Okay, so when contest, the big show, the big brawl, the brawl for it all, you're dieting to get to that where you can actually see.
But there is something to be said for building abs. Like I've heard it said, even Arnold said one quote, where it was like, you don't have to train abs. If you train heavy enough, they'll be there, and when you get lean, they'll look great. That's true. But it's good to train them, actually, to get them a bit. It's a muscle like anything else.
When I read his book, it was calves and abs can be trained every day because they're muscles you use every day.
I've also heard that. It's boring and exhausting, but it could be a good strategy.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you.
Please.
We were going to touch on some issues with back pain. Is training abs maybe would help strengthen your core? Would that be a part of that? Or is that like if someone has a bad lower back, would you recommend them to do more core
balance between the
exercises?
two?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Excellent, Robin.
Yeah. Like low back pain is common for most guys, women too, but especially guys. And I've suffered from that for years, even with good form. Strengthening your abs and even posture and glutes, which are all part of core, can help low back pain. Mm-hmm. But some of the movements I don't do anymore that I used to: squats, back squats, deadlifts, and bent over barbell rows. It was like a staple, and I used to think I had to do those, and I would train through pain and it would get worse. And now I don't do them at all. And people are confused by that because I have good back and legs, but I train differently. So more strategic to take low back out of it, which has been really helpful. So more chest supported rows, more mind muscle engagement, and not just humping a deadlift up, which I respect, but it doesn't work for me.
Are those ones that you avoid because you've felt you've been injured before, or it's just not the safest exercise?
Both. I've been injured doing it, and I've filmed my sets, and they were flawless. Like, they looked perfect, but they still cause pain, and for weeks after. And for my goals, like, I like being strong, but I'm not a power lifter. I'm a bodybuilder. I'm trying to build my back. And I find deadlifts, I'll probably get criticism for this one, they don't at a certain level, especially when you can deadlift 500 pounds plus, which a strong guy can. There's not much utility for training anymore for building muscle. Really, it's not that direct. So I don't deadlift anymore. And my low back has been better because of it. So it's not missing.
If you were going to start somebody out as a brand new person to the sport or the art of bodybuilding, what kind of sets, in what range, and what kind of rep range, and what do you personally do? Do you mix it up all the time, keep the body kind of engaged, and then switch it up, or how does it work for you?
For me first, is that?
For you first, and then what would you give to a guy just starting out or a gal just starting out?
Okay. I've modified my training over the years to improve it, but typically I'm not a high volume proponent. So get in, do your best sets, maybe 2 sets per body part, maybe 3. Not per body part, per exercise, and then a few exercises per body part, but not what I see often, which is people think more is better. I used to think that too. 10 sets of biceps. Like, no, don't do that. So less volume, better intensity, and really focus on the mechanics of what you're doing. And then go home and eat. You don't need that much training. I don't.
So if you're working out 6 days a week, is it? 7, 6?
6 would be pretty maximal.
Okay, so if you're going 6 days a week and your biceps are assisting your back and your back days and stuff like that, so basically you're saying everybody's overtraining, it sounds like, including myself.
The ambitious young ones often are overtraining, undereating, and the strategy's not there. So they might still get results because they're 19 and whatever, but they're not going to get all the way there. They're going to slow down pretty quick, and that's where people plateau. I see it all the time, usually around, respectable, like, benching 225 for 8 or whatever, and that's it. Come back in 5 years, the same.
Geez, I did like 25 sets today for my chest.
Yeah, that's a lot. 25 sets?
So go heavier and less, 25 sets in total. I did about 5 exercises of each.
How's your intensity? Because I would say 3 main exercises, 2 hard sets of each exercise.
Okay.
That's 6 real sets.
And you'll grow.
Better from if you're doing it properly.
This is a real eye opener.
I mean, I see other people where they're pacing themselves. I have 10 sets, so it's only my 3rd set, so I'm just going to go 80%. No, that never works.
Well, the Menser brothers, remember Michael and his brother?
Yeah.
They would do they called it heavy duty training, and they would just come in there and go heavy duty, do 1 or 2 sets, and like in total 6 or 7 sets on the whole training session, and just walk away and grow. Yeah,
they sort of. I don't know if they started that, but they really made that popular in the 80s, I believe.
Yes.
The Metzner's. But a lot of other big guys now that people listen to say the same. Like Jordan Peters, Dusty Hanshaw, like those types of guys. Even Dorian Yates, like he was classic he trained hard, but he wouldn't do tons of volume. He trained 4 days a week, he even said. Not every day. And he was the best. He was the most muscular. He was the most conditioned.
Which makes you wonder, well, so the big question here is how much of our training and fitness is diet and how much of it is just training? Like you're working out an hour and a half a day and you're a professional.
Yeah.
What's you can answer that, right? Like it's a tough question. It's a tough dynamics to figure out.
Well, more training isn't necessarily better, but there's lots of things you can do. Mobility-wise, nutrition-wise, rest, recovery, active recovery, which I'm getting better at, even a hot tub, but also massage work or cardio or just a few things like decompressing your body, because that's something I didn't do. I'd train my back, and then I'd drive home, and I'd sit in an uncomfortable chair, and my back was always locked up.
Yeah.
And now I could take a hot tub, go home, stretch for an hour. That's so much better. So stuff like that, which is... I've built my life to have time for that, but everyone has time for that if they prioritize it,
So people out there that are listening and watching this that are in their, baby boomers, that sort of thing, their 50s, 60s, and still want to be young and vigorous and full of testosterone and power and all that stuff and be the man like they used to be, what kind of workout would you put those people on? Once again, low sets, or would you go high reps? Or
so they're new to training?
I would say, I've been going to the same gyms forever, and you see the same guy year in year out. Body never changes. They just get older and weaker and thinner, and you don't see him anymore. That's the majority.
I see that a lot. I mean, they're not my clients when I go to the gym. So I'm just, I don't even critique them.
Right.
I'm just thinking, but I do see that often where people they're not exercising properly, they're not pushing themselves, and they're not changing. And I could just assume, based on what I'm seeing, that their nutrition and their lifestyle is not adequate.
Okay.
Like you go home and you're done.
You use the word push.
Yeah.
So what happens in your workout that they're not doing? I mean, is it bone crunching, marrow mashing, push that bench or pull that weight down? Is it like you're screaming at it, or? I'm maybe a little severe.
Yeah, well, I've heard that methodology where it's like go to a dark, scary place and get your demons to really push through. That never spoke to me. Like I can go from chill, laid back, and just turn it on. And I could just, and that's something I really have. Like I just turn my nervous system so it just fires like a unit.
Yeah.
And that took years to develop. So a new person, you see them struggling with whatever, 150 bench, but they're not using all their strength.
Yeah.
They're like where I am, so I can really turn it on, turn it off. Mm-hmm. That's a skill.
Well, you see football players able to do it. They're on the line and then they just
go.
become violent and hit somebody and they just turn it up, yeah.
And then they turn it off and they drop back to the bench and they turn it back on.
Yep.
Yeah. But their life is like primed for that. They're a pro football player. Mm-hmm. They're ready for that big hit. So I'm ready for that big incline set or whatever. It's like, I got this.
And then you're going to get somebody to assist you? Is it always good to have someone to assist you in your workouts?
It is. Typically, like as I'm a trainer, all good? Distracting sound?
So it's just getting wild next door here. We're in downtown busy, beautiful Victoria.
It's nice out.
Awesome city in Canada. And talking to Jess Jordan here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So the older athlete, female or male, that wants to grow muscle, what would you do different for them than you would for yourself?
I guess, to backtrack a little, if they're truly new, like build the habit so that they love it. I think that's another thing that's different about me than other people that not everyone sees right away is I love this.
Yes.
I win the lottery or whatever, I'm doing the same thing more. I'm not retiring.
Yeah.
So this is what I do. I go on vacation, I find the gym and the butcher. So I love this. If people love it, they're more likely to comply. Like I took my mom through some sessions and she does not love this, but I imparted my love to her and she got it differently than other trainers she's had. So it's like, I love this. And my dad too. It helps to have a trainer if you can afford it. If you're new and you're in your 40s plus, it's so helpful to have. And not just any trainer, because not mentioning any trainers, but I'm not impressed with most trainers. It's easy to be a trainer, but most people aren't that good. It's, it should be exceptional if you're training people for money.
You know who's really inspired you is that 17-year-old guy over at Wanda Fuca there. And he's from the old Belmont High School in Langford. What do they call it now on the West Shore there? Anyways, this 17-year-old guy, he's trained with you a few times.
Do you know?
He's pulling 550 from the floor in a deadlift, and he put on your podcast. His parents walked by. One was a power lifter, one was a bodybuilder.
Do you know this guy? Because I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're going to try and get him on the podcast at some point. And he's like the strongest guy in the gym, all natural.
Okay.
And he was one of the first guys to watch your podcast and get inspired.
Huh. I haven't talked to him directly. I think he follows me on Instagram.
He does, yeah.
Okay.
A blonde guy.
Yeah, a younger guy.
Yeah, very gentle, a real, you think he's maybe 25 years of age. He looks like a man.
Yeah. He's 17.
Yeah, he's 17. He's so mature and he's so strong, all natural guy. And
I'd love to talk to him. I find it's interesting because I think I'm so approachable and easy. Mm-hmm. But some guys, especially sometimes younger guys, they assume I'm not, and they won't dare ask me a question.
Well, I used to see you working out with one of your former girlfriends, and you just look all business.
Yeah.
And I've seen you, in the muscle shirt and stuff, and I just kind of, you see a big, strong guy, and it spooks people. I don't know what it is. I don't know why we get a little more nervous. Maybe we're used to seeing doormen standing at nightclubs, or we're used to these.
I did that for years, so maybe I just naturally have that position. The scowl.
Yeah. So I thought, I got to get to know this guy first because.
But those are the people I'd like to talk to, like a young guy that loves bodybuilding and has good questions. Like, that's number one.
Well, the good thing about the show is that now we can get that word out that you are approachable. You love this art, this sport. You call it a sport or an art?
Again, not to oversay, good question, but that is a good question. I think we're athletes. Bodybuilders are tremendous athletes, but is it a sport or is it a pageant or an art project? I remember one pharmacist asked me once, anyway, I described what I do as a art project, a sculpture project. Yes. She was kind of confused by that, but
Michelangelo.
Yeah, totally. It's and everything comes together. There's science, there's athleticism, and the good bodybuilders typically have an athletic background. If you're new to, if you've never done any sports and you start bodybuilding, you just don't have the sense. I've trained new people on a new movement, like how to lunge with their body weight, and they just don't have it. It takes years to pattern that, but it'd be better if you patterned that when you were 6.
Hey, when you go to gyms day in, day out like you do you have any pet peeves? What are you seeing at the gyms, and My gym isn't a sexy place.
Yeah.
But I heard, there's a couple other in town where people are in T-bars in the pool afterwards. And, it seems like every gym has its own atmosphere. And it's probably set by the boss of the gym or whoever owns it. They're trying to build that clientele that way.
Yeah. Every gym's a little different. Victoria's a certain scene. I train at Odyssey, mostly. It's my main gym. And the owner's great, but she's not there as much. It's more just like the vibe kind of dictates how you are there. Mm-hmm. So I guess something that bothers me is I don't wear headphones. That's not what bothers me, but I never really did. Like back when I was younger, they had a big cord. So I just...
Yeah. And
now they have wireless, but I just don't listen. But what I see very often is guys with big headphones on, and they slam weights, like super unnecessarily, like the second plate on a leg press. The whole gym can hear, and he can't hear.
Yeah.
And it's like, like check it out. 2 plates, like 8, like whatever it is. It's super unnecessary. So that's one thing. That's a little one.
Have you ever made any comments to anyone about that?
Usually the clients I'm with, we both scowl at them.
Just like a passive-aggressive scowl going on?
Yeah, but like, I try and lead by example. I try not to pick on people.
Right.
But they should know. Like, it's like basic decency. I don't do that.
Right.
And I lift much more.
Yeah, it's
the reason
one
why
thing you would assume.
Sorry, Robin, I'll let you finish here. But go ahead, please.
I was saying it was something you would assume that would be a common knowledge thing at the gym, but unfortunately, as you said, maybe they don't even know they're doing it because they got their heavy metal so loud in their ears. And
that's not a good excuse, though.
I agree with you there.
Also, putting weights away, basic, but people don't, or putting them away wrong. But that's not even that interesting to talk about. Like a 45 behind 310s.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
Yeah.
Back to you, Ken.
Yeah.
So for me, it's...
I guess also, sorry, next point, women too. And, I like women, but people that aren't there to train, that's what bugs me. They're wearing their Gymshark and they're checking their butt and they're looking at their phone and they're on Instagram. And like, I like Instagram, but like put your phone away and train.
And they're actually sticking out their butts and stuff?
Well, that's trending, especially recently.
What's the address to your gym? I got to do a field survey.
It's Odyssey. They renamed it back to Odyssey.
I remember the old Odyssey back in the days. You have like Leo Blanchard from the Edmonton Eskimos and all these super strong guys training down there.
It's it's a decent gym. It's the only one in town you can
Peter Mueller.
actually train at.
Son went out for the Saskatchewan. These were the giant guys of the time. Arginine and ornithine, that was what they were talking about. But I don't wear these. I don't wear the headgear or the headphones because I'm afraid someone's going to drop it on me, like drop the weights. You got these younger guys, they don't put the collars on and they're doing curls and the weights shift. And it's been more than once where you have to kind of like be a cat and be watching and stuff. It's more of a safety thing for me. And as Mike, who was here last time in the last show we did with Jess Jordan, or part one of these episodes, Mike the firefighter, he never wears it either because it's like he calls it, I'm at work and it's like a construction zone. People are lifting weights and stuff.
Yeah.
You want to be aware of what's around you.
Well, that's another thing, and I preach this to my clients, but they're pretty good, is like be spatially aware. Like don't get into that guy's way when he's squatting. Like obvious, but some people don't see that, and I've had that happen to me. And I'm usually not a very reactive person. There's probably been 2 times I recall in my career that I had to like yell at someone that totally violated my space in the middle of a set. Wow. Which is like, yeah.
Maybe they liked you.
Maybe, but that's not the way to do it.
Were they poking out their Gymsharks in your area? And then
it's just clueless. Like, like they're on their phone and they back up into you and you're pressing 150s. It's like, are you kidding me? Like,
right. And they're just filming something of their buddies doing or something else.
Or nothing. Like they're not even working out. Like you go at 5:30 and the gym is full. But how many people are training?
Right.
10%? Yeah. So
with the rise of, you've been in the gym for a while now, with the rise of the smartphone, I imagine that's become a bigger issue.
Smartphone, and then what goes with it, which
stuff.
is Instagram.
Social media, yeah.
And, I used to resist Instagram. I hate Instagram. But it's really, I've changed my opinion recently. It's like, it's a great tool, but not everyone's a pro bodybuilder. Not everyone's has to show off what they're doing. It's not that interesting.
Well, you are positioning yourself as a creator and a producer on Instagram, where you're putting out content for people, and you're providing a platform for that. Whereas lots of these people are they're putting out stuff just to build their ego or something ridiculous like that.
Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I think it's become trendy to be fit lately, the last 10 years. So people are like, Like hashtag bodybuilding, hashtag hardest worker in the room. That one bugs me.
Booty gains.
Also booty gains. Like everyone likes nice butt, but like just quietly work at it and then let somebody tell you have a nice butt. You know, like check out my nice butt. It's like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I get that at the most inappropriate times. Just walking down the street, construction workers wolf whistle at me and stuff.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good.
Really?
I've got that South American thing where, you know, that thing where when you're attractive, you feel good. And like here in Canada, it's more like, oh, you violated me. Unless you're good looking and attractive, then it's okay to carry on, you know? I said to this girl once, I said, if Brad Pitt was on the bus, I said, well, what's it like when men stare at you and stuff? And she goes, well, it depends what they look like. And I'm like, really? That's what it comes down to? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wasn't allowed to stare at her. But thank you, Dusty.
Dusty.
Yeah, Dusty from the post office. She was great. Good friend. Anyway, so how many people have full-time jobs at your training?
Most of them have full-time jobs or own businesses.
Okay, and none
doctors.
of them are firefighters, cops,
Not right now.
Navy personnel.
I charge $100 an hour,
Yeah.
which I worked up to, but it's a high-end product, so...
For how much of that you got to discover who these people are? So for $100 an hour, how much time is spent on getting their bios together and looking at where you need to work? Is that
initially, it's a consultation, free, included.
Wow.
So I meet them, and then we see. It's a dual interview.
Okay.
I'm seeing if they can hack it on my team.
Yep.
And that's kind of what I've created, which is great, where people pre-qualify themselves to me. Where it's like, look, I'm really serious. I'm here. I'm going to commit. I want to do a show. I've already done this. Will you work with me? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, let's see. And then we start pretty quick, though. Like, I'm good at that. I can see very quickly, okay, like, let's set it up. Where's your bench? Where's your squat? Like, where's your strength? And then how can we work with this? But typically, we learn each other better. So after a couple sessions and months and years, it's a much better relationship. So
I was doing a terrible bench press, and once again, that 17-year-old dude from Royal Bay,
yeah,
he said, man, you got to put the bar down here underneath your chest. You're doing it up here in your shoulders, and you're creating problems with your anterior deltoids. You get push off your toes from your legs when you're on the bench press. Like, he brought it right down to a science. I'm like, man, I've been doing it wrong for 30 years. Thank you very much. 30 years.
Were you able to
Shoulders.
adjust it right then?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I got to get used to bringing it down under the chest line. So
Typically, it's nipple line for bodybuilding.
okay,
Powerlifters do it different. I don't know exactly what his focus is. I know he's also powerlifting.
bit of both, yeah.
Bit of both.
Hey, so what are some of your influences, either locally or in the news, that people may or may not know that inspire you to train harder? Like, what if you were going to watch a documentary? Who would you watch it on?
That's a good question. I've watched some recently. I like bodybuilders that can articulate their points and they're a little bit creative thinking.
Okay.
So, or quite a bit. Like Dory Nates is a good one.
Yeah.
He speaks less about bodybuilding now, but more about life. But Dory Nates, I listened to Lean Haney interview recently. He was pretty good.
Still out there.
Yeah, he speaks well too.
So you wouldn't like the twin barbarians that walk up and slap each other on the bench press. Remember those guys?
I do.
In the early 80s.
It's funny. I had one guy. I was working at a more powerlifting gym a few years ago. And I was like going for a heavy set, and I was like, can you film me or whatever? I asked him. He's like, okay. And then he slapped me before my set.
No.
Like really hard on the back.
On the back. Not
Yeah, and like, I've never had that before. I was like gonna punch him in the face. I was like, okay, breathe. And then I used it in my set, but I don't respond to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Negative.
I could get into it. There's I remember this made an impression on me. It's a Jewish guy, Scott Mendelssohn from Brooklyn.
Okay.
He held the raw bench record, 715 pounds, about 10 years ago.
Jeez.
It's been beaten a few times, but he comes on huge, but pretty lean.
Yeah.
And his big mama, obese, whatever, huge woman wife, comes and he's standing there and she slaps him across the face like 10 times, as hard as he can.
Yeah.
And then he like screams, and then he goes and benches it. It's incredible. But it just made such an impression on me. I was like, what is that?
I've seen that a lot with mixed martial arts fighters. They slap their fighter when they're about to enter the ring to kind of wake them up.
I guess, and they were getting smacked by the other guy.
Yeah,
So
that makes a little more sense maybe in that. But one question I wanted to ask you before you're touching on the motivations, people sometimes they have a hard time getting motivated in the gym, and their trainer maybe just don't have the right people skills to get to work with them in their in their frame of mind.
Yeah.
How would you go about motivating someone who's they want to build their body, but they don't know that they're not motivated in the kind of the physical sense. They are their mind, or do you know what I'm asking there?
Yeah, I'm wondering, would this be like a first time person I'm meeting, or like a client that's having a bad day?
Let's say both.
Okay.
Like start with the client who's having a bad day, and
Because there, at least we know each other. I know, like, you do want this. It's hard every day to do it, but so I kind of can hold the space and know what they need. If it's a new person, like, how bad do you really want it? It's hard. I want to go to medical school. My parents wanted me to go to medical school, but I hated school. I wasn't going to go to medical school. It would never happen. I respect it, but I didn't put in the work. So it's the same way. Like, I wish I was muscular. Like, okay, what are you willing to do about it? Can you be clumsy? Because initially I find people are afraid to go to the gym for the first time. Everyone's so in shape, they're going to make fun of me. I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, you hear people say, "Oh, I'm just going to go jogging for 6 months to get ready for the gym." You're like,
I hear that. Or like, like in a couple months, I'll be ready to come train with you. It's like, okay, why don't you start now? Yeah.
It's intimidating to go to the gym.
yeah.
sometimes.
A friend of our podcast here, Gord, he's also a personal trainer, and he's spoken a lot about that. Where when he gets a new client coming in,
Gord Kehoe.
Yes,
he
I'm aware
wants,
of him.
yeah, he really wants to make sure that they're motivated, and asks them, like, what are you willing to put down, as a collateral almost to because I guess for him, he doesn't want to necessarily get into it with someone if they're not motivated. It's kind of, he feels
Same
like
with
a
me.
waste of time. Yeah,
We probably have different clientele.
Yeah.
But similarly, it's like, I can't do the work for you. I can coach you. But so it's a pre-qualify. But I think I'm pretty good at not convincing. Like my close rate in consults is like 100% now. I don't have to sell. They just sense it. It's just, I don't know if that answers the question that much, but it's person dependent. So
Absolutely,
if you sit me down with that person, I'll find it. I'll find what they really need.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get on to nutritional supplements.
Okay.
What is bullshit out there, and what is really good to take for your body? How much money do I need to spend every month if I walk down to, say, a great store like Popeyes and go see Chris or somebody like that, who we're going to have on the show soon?
Okay. He's a good guy.
Hopefully. Yeah, he's a great guy. So what do I want to get? What are the basics, and what would I go into if I have a little more money to spend?
You specifically?
Anybody, really.
But you, someone that trains, that's in your 50s and probably has a hopefully decent diet, medium.
Yeah, I guess it varies for each person, right? But is there not a gold standard that we all should have protein? We should all have greens.
Basic, but it's pretty
Oils.
basic. Like I have a client.
Okay.
We started a few months ago. He's already pretty serious, but I was like, what supplements do you take? What vitamins do you take? None. Okay. So I started him on some vitamins. What I take, which is B complex, C, D. That's it for vitamins, and then magnesium, selenium, zinc. Just that, and it's made a huge difference for him.
Not a multivitamin.
I don't believe in multivitamins because typically they're not very bioavailable, and they're not enough of anything. It's like 2.5 milligrams of zinc oxide,
Or
like,
a B vitamin 2.5 or...
but it's not the most absorbable form, and it's just like a lot of nothing. So I don't bother with those
Okay.
Yeah.
So vitamins...
individually or a good quality one.
yeah.
Supplements, honestly, are like I use creatine on and off, monohydrate,
Yes.
the cheap one. That's it.
That's it?
Only supplement I use. I buy my vitamins not at Popeyes. No offense.
Okay.
Just basic high quality vitamins and minerals, and then diet, and then water. Coffee is my pre-workout.
How many coffees?
One.
Just one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've actually kind of, like when I was 19, 20, I would use much more supplements. If I spend $300 a month, all kinds of artificial flavored.
What are you spending now?
60.
$60.
Yeah.
Would you say you're spending that money that you're not spending on supplements on higher quality food?
Yeah. Food, definitely.
So creatine is your number one go-to for strength that actually works.
It's a good question. I've been taking it since grade 11, on and off, mostly on.
Okay.
Meh. I don't know. Like, I'm not blown away.
Okay.
Like, it may make zero difference, but the studies have been pretty conclusive that it helps a little bit.
Okay.
Probably cost me $20 for 6 months. So, meh. Not, but it's not that valuable. Like, I dropped it around the end of my show because it can hold water, maybe. I didn't notice a single difference. And then I took 2 months off after in the summer. I didn't notice any difference. So creatine is okay, but it's not going to be that helpful.
So the next big question is, what do you take? What kind of food do you actually eat? What kind of is this secret stuff? Or?
It's not secret. It's just, it's funny, people that like actually have the luxury, whatever, they get to spend time with me more often, which is not that many. They see how I eat and how I live, and it's pretty fun.
You laughed at me when I offered you a couple pieces of chicken today. You kind of like smiled, like,
well,
I'm like, what did I say wrong? I thought for sure, like I had my little lunch box here.
That's funny.
And I knew I had a couple chicken breasts with me, and you're just like,
it was a lot of things. I guess I could explain. It's like,
sure.
First of all, I'm flattered and I appreciate it because you're trying to be helpful, and chicken is something I eat. I'm such a fussy eater that I'm going to handle it. Also, I don't want to take your chicken from you because I wouldn't give you my chicken. But, you know, chicken's a good one.
Sounds so dirty.
No?
You show me your chicken, I'll show you mine.
Well, I don't try and share. I don't usually share food.
Let's start off your morning.
Okay.
From the time you get up to the time you go to bed, let's talk about what goes, the supplements in between, or the food for breakfast, lunch, typically, just so.
Okay.
We want to hear what a champion eats.
One thing I do differently than other bodybuilders, which is kind of funny, is I don't track my food. I almost have a problem with tracking food. Like it's like sacrilegious to me.
Okay.
It's something weirdly micromanagey, even though I micromanage everything.
Yeah.
I don't like to say 6 ounces of fish, you have to eat this much, 150 grams of rice. No.
Do you track your food at all?
No.
You just eat?
I just eat, but it sounds like, oh, you just eat. But I've been doing this, so I know exactly what I'm eating.
Yeah.
But the number one tip for people, it's like prioritize protein. Duh. You know, like the guy, butcher assistant today asked me, how much protein do you eat a day? And I was like, oh, you know, about 400 or more grams. And he was shocked, like, well, 400, that's absurd. I was like, you know, that's like a typical day. I bet you I hit 600 sometimes. You know, it's just like minimum, hit your minimums. And protein's expensive, and no supplemental protein, 0. So all my protein had parents, as I like to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So meat.
Yeah, and the rest is trace. I don't count it. 6 grams in the seed bread, 0. You know,
Gotcha.
Peanut butter has protein, right?
Yeah.
No. Avocado? No. It's like,
Are you doing eggs?
yeah, I do eggs.
How many eggs a day?
This morning, typical breakfast,
Yep.
if I have time, 4 whole eggs and a carton of egg whites, which is like 17 egg whites.
Okay.
And then oatmeal with coconut butter.
Sorry, go back to the egg thing. Is that because of cholesterol concerns, LDL, HDL issues, and all that other stuff that comes with eggs? Or
If you look at an egg, it's about equal parts protein and fat.
okay,
It's okay, but typically I want to skew my protein much higher. Egg whites is all protein, 0 fat. But if you've ever had an egg white omelet, it's like nothing. It tastes like styrofoam. Yeah. So you got to stack it a little bit. So a few eggs. 4 is pretty good. Most bodybuilders do less, but I'm a big beast. I can handle a lot of calories. Right now I'm trying to actually round up. So like if in doubt, eat more because I'm still at the end of my bulk here. Protein first, high quality protein. By that I mean I don't get my meat from, like I only go to specialty butcher stores, butcher shops, make friends with the butcher. I get meat that I know exactly what it is. Organic, local.
you sound like a gangster.
Well,
I go to my dealer, my butcher.
But that's the thing too. Like I train my butcher in exchange for meat.
Yeah.
Like that's a good deal I worked out because I was spending $300 a week on meat.
Really?
And now I spend much less because he trains with me. Win-win.
So, for example, what kind of meat would you have for breakfast, lunch, and supper?
Often eggs in the morning.
That's a lot of grams of protein, 400, 600.
Oh yeah. Chicken, 80% chicken.
Yep.
I do top round ground steak, which is like very, very lean ground beef.
Okay.
But I don't trust ground beef because you don't know what is ground off. But I see the steak that I choose, and then I see them grind it.
Okay.
It's like, okay, that's much better.
Just in a frying pan of steak?
Yeah. Just like a giant burger. Like in a ceramic pan.
Without the bread?
No bread. I don't eat bread.
Bread.
I don't eat bread ever.
That was dirty. Dirty word, bread.
Like lactose. Yeah.
Any kind of sugar, bread is not in your diet.
Just even bread, even like sprouted grain, wheat, whole bread. No, nothing.
So what do you do to treat yourself? Do you have a bad day where, I'm going to treat myself to 4 Nanaimo bars, Canada's newest stamp by the Canadian government?
Nanaimo
didn't
bars.
quite get it right. Actually, the ingredients weren't proper in the stamp, but Canada Post is working on it. But you don't have a bad day where you just go, I'm going to have a liter of ice cream?
No, never.
Never.
But like that's
Part of the lifestyle choice.
Like people say that it's like, you know, it must be hard. Like you must be so disciplined to not ever eat ice cream. It's like, no, it's like eating dirt off the ground. Like I have no desire. If you paid me $1,000, I might not even.
So up here, you're that tough. It's like,
it's like, you know, it's like I'm not attracted to. I gotta watch what I say here. Dead animals, you know, like there's no attraction there.
Gotcha.
So somebody else might be,
Unless you're eating them.
well, yeah.
and ETOH,
Alcohol.
Any alcohol consumption?
Super trace. I think the last time I had red wine the night before my shows.
Yeah, just a glass.
Yeah, and one at New Year's or something. Christmas.
And
Yeah.
cannabis.
Yeah. Fairly frequently. I find it doesn't have to detract from bodybuilding. It's a misconception, you know, stoners are lazy. Like, okay, if you love bodybuilding and it helps you creatively attack it and eat more and relax more and think outside the box, sweet, go for it.
Yeah.
Not everyone responds that way, especially if you're lazy. And if you don't like the gym and you get stoned, you're probably not going to go to the gym and train hard.
Yeah.
But if you're like, you know, for me, it can help.
Do you not get bored? Or
Of training?
For you going to the, you know,
Not the
going
way
to
I-
the gym is like ecstasy. Like it's being out there in the club and dancing and all this crazy. This is your life. Like going to the gym is like so, it makes you so ecstatic, and it's your that. Or do you ever go, I'm bored today or a little sore, I'm going to throw some coffee in there, I'm going to do.
There's a lot of elements to that.
Yeah.
You mean bored nutrition-wise? Is that what you're referring to, Ken?
No, bored with like just the
Work on
constant.
itself, I guess the constant grind.
No, I don't get bored with it.
Never get bored.
Like cardio, I find boring, but
Okay.
it's means to an end, and you know, cannabis and techno and whatever you got to do. 3 coffees.
Yeah.
Lifting, especially the way I lift, it's like it's intense and it's short, and I love it. So it's like, you know, last time I benched 450, like today it's like 475. Like you're not bored trying that. If you had to do endless circuitry, or you know, 1,000 burpees, or some people do really stupid workout routines, that would be boring. But some days I'm not feeling it. Like even right now, I'm going to take a few weeks off. I have a procedure coming up on Monday, but I never take time off. So I was kind of in anticipation of this. I was like really, really training, knowing that I would probably overtrain to a point where I was like, you know, enough with the freaking gym.
Yep.
And then I could use 2-3 weeks off and then come back hungry for it. But I don't get bored. I love the gym. It helps to switch up your routine a little bit, switch up your goals a little bit, even train at a different gym with a different person. But yeah, if you're bored from the gym, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. So you're so how many body parts per day would you work? Do you switch that up all the time too, or is it just chest on Monday? Do you do back? Do you do pushing, pulling muscles? How do you break that down?
The split that I've probably been most consistent with, although it does change, is a 5-day split where you basically hit everything once.
Okay.
Push-pull legs is popular now. I don't do well with that. Maybe if you're new, there's way too much to do on a push day. Like if you do chest, shoulders, triceps, you know, your shoulders won't be as strong if you do them after chest and stuff like that. So the way I would split it up for a new person that's ambitious, 5-day split, chest day, arms day, shoulder day, legs day, back day.
But you're at the gym for 90 minutes. So what happens in that 90 minutes and you don't do that many sets?
My sessions are an hour. Sometimes I go a bit long, but an hour of meat is good. With a bit of warm-up, a bit of cool-down, a bit of strategy, an hour of lifting time is sufficient.
How do you warm up?
1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate.
You're not doing yoga. You're not stretching per se. You're
Definitely not before. I try and stretch
Okay.
after. I'm not a fan of yoga. It doesn't suit me.
okay.
Yeah.
Just lost 10 million listeners.
Well, I mean, just because it's great if it works for you.
Yeah.
I've done hot yoga a few times. Also, like when I'm new, it's like by the time you figure out the posture, they're on the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I need remedial yoga.
Can I interject here with a question about rest?
Under.
So you say you train 6 days a week, whereas, like you said, Dorian Yates, was that right? Did 4 days a week.
That's what he says he
He
did.
says he did.
I mean, I'd like to
But-
believe that.
Yeah. So do you think for some people is rest needed more than others? Like, why do you only do? I suppose you're not only resting on the one day. You're resting your other muscle groups on
Right.
certain days. But why do you only do the 1 day off type of?
That's a good question. It's almost like I work at the gym every day, and I'm obsessive by nature, which I like. But it's one of those things I was talking to my client today where it's, if I was my own client, I would advise myself a little differently, and I might benefit from that. Like, hey man, maybe you should train 5 days a week. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
Have you gone to that before for like a 1 month
one
test
time
period or something?
For about 3 months, I decided to do every other day training strict. So on, off, and off. You have to take that day off. Oh, but off. And I improved. My strength was better. I was fresher. It's like my identity, though, so it can be a slight identity crisis, especially if I'm a trainer at the gym. I work sometimes 7 days a week because I love it. So it's like I'm there on a Sunday.
You're like, if I'm here, I better lift a few things.
I'll just do biceps and calves and abs and like everything.
Yeah.
I think that's where I used to go wrong, and that's a common mistake I see with young guys.
Well, and I could touch on this. We haven't spoken much about testosterone or other steroid use on this episode specifically, but is that maybe like someone who's not using those would need more recovery time because the testosterone and other things, they help that healing process.
It can work
faster,
like that.
right?
I've heard it, and it's true. It can go both ways in that if you're new and you add an anabolic, you could probably train harder and recover quicker. But then you get stronger and stronger, and then the damage you do, the good damage you do from lifting so heavy when you're like, I'm so strong, my nervous system's so primed. When I do a heavy back day, so much damage. Like, even if I'm on all the gear in the world, which I'm not, you don't recover right away. Like, you need 3 days, 4 days, 5 days to like recover from that.
Right.
So it's like, as you become a bigger beast, you can inflict more damage.
Right.
Because of everything. And then you do need more recovery.
Right. And then the testosterone or whatever does not fill that gap.
Not enough. You need sleep, you need rest, you need time.
What's your resting pulse rate?
It's around, last time I checked, it was like 68.
It's pretty good for a big guy.
Blood pressure was very normal. I just got tested recently. Full blood work, blood pressure. It was surprisingly good. Kidney function, liver function. My cholesterol is a bit high. That was the only outlying thing.
Meat?
Yeah. I mean, I'm 30, relatively healthy, but it hasn't been a priority. Like, I eat tons of meat, a lot of saturated fat, no cardio. I'm 270. I take testosterone. Like, I could improve it if I wanted. I don't care that much right now. It's good to see. If I was 80 and skinny, it would be concerning.
My question is, what you see these guys like, let's go Mike Tyson. Everyone knows who he is.
Yeah.
Super strong, super fit. Actually looks like a bodybuilder a little bit. He's got massive legs. You got the chest and arms. How does he, is it practical for most bodybuilders to have that kind of speed? Like he was a phenomenal beast.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's so fast, and yet he's bound by muscle. But it doesn't seem to slow him down at all. How do you explain that?
Well, he probably really trained to prioritize because speed was important to him. Whereas for a bodybuilder, it's less functionally important.
Okay, with fighting being huge nowadays with MMA and all this other stuff, how would, if I showed up or somebody we had a big boxing match or kickboxing show or something, how would you train me for speed and yet still put on strength and muscle?
For boxing specifically?
Yeah, one of those heavy-duty cardio sports. Where
I would keep training in that. So like if you 3-minute rounds explosively,
okay,
and then train like with weights.
For 3 minutes?
Just follow a similar level of intensity. Like, marathon runners aren't great at sprinting. Obviously, they don't train for that. Yeah. So like kind of cross it over.
Okay.
Because you can be very strong and quite explosive. Typically bodybuilding, you're all in one direction. It's like for me, my bad cholesterol, I don't care. Because it's like my goals are so one directed.
Yeah.
Like, oh, but I can't run a good 5K. Like, I don't care. So again, you play the person, but there isn't necessarily a conflict. You can be strong and fast.
How many reps should you do if you're in that the fight game? Should you go to 15, 30, 45, 60 reps? Is that...
I mean, I don't train fighters typically, but past 15 reps, unless you have a good reason, there's no reason to go past 15 reps for bodybuilding, for hypertrophy.
Okay.
With exceptions, 20 rep squats here and there. Okay, fine. But like if you're doing 18 reps of shoulder press, like no, up the weight and do 10.
Okay.
Like, come on.
Well, Jason Height was just near here the other day, and he said Olympic weightlifting was the key to explosiveness for his sport of kickboxing. And
okay. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch Olympic weightlifting, it's like a split second.
Yeah.
It's like all the strength in half a second from floor to ceiling or whatever above your head. It's amazing, but I've done a little Olympic lifting, and it was clumsy for me because my shoulders and everything. and I didn't care enough to get good. So, it's not that important to me.
The big question is, I've heard women over the years go, "Ooh, look at him, he's so vascular and this and that." But every guy I know that's has a physique that's made a bodybuilding physique, they don't have that problem. It seems like women are really hitting on them a lot more than the ones pretend that they don't. Ooh, look at that guy, there's so many veins, and that I don't like that look. But I see every time I go with some of my bodybuilding weightlifting friends, the ladies like it. What is it? This a new thing, or people more appreciative of the human male physique now, or?
I think it's both. But when a guy can own it, as I try and do, I try and own my physique rather than showcase posture bullshit. Hey, everyone, check it out. Yeah. It's like I earned this. Yeah. And similarly, like at the Van Pro, was the big show that I did.
Which you won.
Yeah, but for the super heavyweight, we were getting ready. The group of super heavyweights, there was about 10 of us. Mm-hmm. And the handler woman she made a comment. She's like, I've been doing this for years, and every group is so anxious, and they're kind of shit-talking each other and weird energy, and you guys aren't at all. And she said, why is that? And everyone didn't say anything. And I was thinking, I was like, you know what it is? It's like we're super heavyweights. Like we've been doing this the longest. It's like a bunch of black belts. Like they don't have to fight. Yeah. It's like the freaking blue belts have to fight. Mm-hmm. So it's like, we got this. Nothing's going to change now. We're all beasts. If I glare at you, if I, it doesn't matter. So another thing just to touch on that I've encountered, which might sound funny, but fit shaming.
What?
People shame me for how into my fitness I am.
You?
Yeah, and other people and my clients. But I've encountered this a lot where it's like fat shaming, except somehow that's not politically correct at all.
Do you know these people, or they just walk off the street?
And what form of shaming as well?
Like you're so into your body, and like there's other things, and it's not all about how you look, and your arms are big enough already, and it's like clearly they don't understand what I'm going for.
And these are people who know you?
Typically
They're
not.
Trying to give you pointers? Okay, typically not. Okay, good.
It's not malicious, but it's like Victoria especially, it's so politically correct. Like you can't say racist things, and you can't be anti-fat, anti-anything.
Oh no, we don't do anything like that here.
But you feel like bodybuilders, they're so resilient that we can make fun of them a little bit.
It's like they're punching up towards you because
we can take
strong guy.
But you don't know anything about me, and I've come to a pretty secure place in my life. But 10 years ago or 5 years ago, comments like that would really hurt me. Yeah. Oh fuck you, I don't care. Yeah. But I do. It's like, how dare you? Yep. You don't have no idea. I would never say the same to you. Like you're out of shape. What's wrong with you? Mm-hmm. Can't say that.
Or you're overweight. Yeah.
I've been punched on the bus for that one before. We're coming up on an hour here, guys. So I want to touch on a few more things here. We have. We wanted to talk about common mistakes in the gym. Is that something you can speak about for a little bit?
I mean, there's so many mistakes, but one that's common now, I was talking about, cutting season's coming. And most people, even experienced people, and even Men's Health magazine and stuff, it's like higher reps for toning. You probably everyone's heard this. It's like absurdly bro-lorry bullshit. It's like, so instead of...
I was there. I just asked you that question. I thought it was for toning.
But it's like, let's say you're normally shoulder pressing 80 pounds for 10 reps on dumbbells. Now it's cutting season. You want to get ripped? Okay. So do 60 for 20 reps. Okay. No. And then take a short break and do flies. And then take a short break and do 50s. And then take a short break. It's like lots of output. And I see that now. Like all the guys are doing circuit training to get in shape. And I'm not. Or cardio. Lots of cardio. You need to get in shape by doing cardio, right? Is the least you can. The least you can. It's like a tool. So
isn't the thought with that, the more cardio, the more fat you're going to burn, and then it'll make you leaner? Is that the idea?
But it indiscriminately burns tissue.
Right.
So for me, I'll lose muscle if I do lots of cardio from day one. So like, don't do any. Just, take a little carbs out your diet. Okay. Then a little fat out your diet. Then a little more carbs out your diet. Then go for a walk every other day. Then a longer walk. Then every day. It's like incremental. So people they're all in. I want to get ripped. I'm going to take hydroxycut. I'm going to do cardio every morning. I'm going to do toning every day. And they look like skinny, fat nothings. They lose 30 pounds.
You're not looking at me when you say that, are you?
Well, no. But if you want to pursue getting lean, that's not the way to do it. Keep your strength and cut your diet.
Yeah. So that's a big one. And what's another common mistake that you see that you kind of shake your head at?
Donkey calf raises?
Don't know what the heck that is.
Those are actually pretty good. They're very uncommon.
I haven't seen it for 30 years, man. If I go to a gym and see that two dudes doing that, I just
remember Arnold with the two girls on his back.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Another one, bulking, is the same. It's like the reverse. The guys are bad at bulking. Yep. Oh, I'm a hard gainer. Oh, that one. That term bugs me. Hard gainer. I'm a hard gainer too. I just work really hard to gain.
Yeah.
Eat more food, typically.
Right.
Lift heavier. Be more strategic. It's a cop-out that guys do, Bro, I'm a hard gainer. What should I do? Should I up my dose? It's like, wow, you're a moron. And then also, people, this really happens a lot now. I know we're running out of time. Is people,
we got another half an hour we can go here.
Okay. People ask me lots of questions now. And I'm a professional, and so I'm getting a little more, not impatient, but boundarized with my time. Mm-hmm. Like I'm on my way out, and hey, I have a question for you. Okay. But a lot. So and then they don't listen. So hire a trainer. Not any trainer. I'm digressing. There's a lot of mistakes, and I see them so often, but every situation is different.
What do you think about people I'm seeing in the gym now? To me, when I was at the ambulance business, we'd put a T on your forehead. That means the tourniquet started at 30 minutes. You see people tourniqueting their arms and stuff. It seems a little bit dangerous to want to put
I saw that today.
Pressure on your vessels. Is that what is the concept behind that?
Like blood occlusion training.
Okay.
I've had one guy do this to me years ago, but he taped me up with like really, really heavy tape to do a bicep occlusion pump. It was brutal. Like I was hurt and I was curling much less than normal. Pump was incredible, but I had like bruises.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a huge benefit. I saw a guy doing it today.
Yep.
He was not muscular, but he had occlusion straps. Mm-hmm. I saw a woman doing it the last couple days. She looked pretty good, but it was on her butt. Like it was like booty occlusion straps.
Yeah.
And she's got a great butt. And it was like just watching her squat with this like trying to keep the blood in her butt.
What the heck?
It was pretty interesting. It's hard not to look at.
It's something a heroin user might do to keep their vascularity nice and pumped up. Okay.
It's not something I do or would recommend. Right. Just like lift.
Heroin's not great for bodybuilding, I hear.
I don't have any personal experience.
He's talking about
I'm just joking.
the straps.
The straps. Yeah. Well, I gave blood the other day, and that they had to do that.
Yep.
Tourniquet you off.
Yep.
Right.
Actually, that was almost a funny story. I haven't given blood in a while. I came in, I just trained back, and I was wearing a hoodie, and I took it off, and I was so vascular, like, I wanted to be. And she's like, the nurse, the phlebotomist, was like, wow, this will be easy. Like, okay, sweet, because I'm a little nervous. Anyway, it took 4 times to get my blood. She's like,
why couldn't she go to Cubal Faucet in your elbow here?
I was like, it's like hoses everywhere. And she tapped a couple of them and it didn't work.
Maybe she was nervous.
Maybe. It's like, this hardly ever happens. Anyway, so eventually they pulled blood out, but.
Wow,
that's funny.
And so why would someone do that vascularity pump when they're lifting? Does that have some type of benefit, or you're
blood
saying
occlusion? It's like to keep the blood in your muscle. So it's like, like if you're wearing a cock ring or something.
Sure.
It like keeps the blood in.
I got one right here, right now.
Ken showed it to me earlier. It's,
but I haven't had much experience with that. But it can hurt.
Penis ring.
Yeah, it hurts. It like keeps all the blood in it, and you have a great erection. But like, it's like you want to get it off. It's like it's the same with this. You're like so veiny, but it hurts. Like
so. What I'm asking? What would be the perceived benefit to doing that in a weightlifting scenario? Unless you're trying to like pump up to show the next guy how pumped you can be.
What they might argue, but it's a bit flawed, is especially with an intra-workout shake, you could like saturate that muscle with nutrients. So aminos and sugar and whatever. So it's like I'm going to train my biceps. I'm going to lock all the blood in them, and then I'm going to have this loaded shake, and it might fuel my muscles even more.
Huh. That sounds a bit weird.
It's a bit weird.
So one question I wanted to touch on earlier, when you were talking about your recovery stuff, is cold therapy. Do you do any like cold immersion stuff or cryotherapy? Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Thoughts on those?
It can be helpful. I haven't been doing that much lately directly, but sometimes I do hot-cold, like hot tub and cold shower.
Because the idea with the cold would be it reduces inflammation.
Yeah.
Which you probably get a lot of that when you're bodybuilding, would you, or would you say?
Yeah, but then sometimes inflammation is what is desirable for bodybuilding.
Right.
Whereas like ibuprofen, like I never take.
Yeah.
Because I read a T Nation article when I was like 13 that said, I described how it could inhibit protein synthesis because there's no inflammatory response. So you, after training, you're sore, you counteract the inflammatory response and you don't adapt.
Right.
So
yeah, I've heard studies where they would wait to do the cold immersion for like an hour or two after your workout,
okay.
rather than doing it right away, probably for similar reasons that you just mentioned, just to do with
Yeah.
but the benefits of the inflammation, and then you're reducing that after the fact.
Yeah, I would say, and another thing, just like listening to your body, which again is like one cliched wisdom, but you get pretty in tune. So like I know after a certain point, it's like, you know what, like I need something here. Like I need a hot tub, I need cold, I need a buzzer. Like I have a gun that I use on myself.
Yeah, is that one of those kind of like heavy duty massage?
Yeah,
guns, or what are those called?
There's a few, but they're getting much better. Like I had a treatment the other day, and someone did it to me, and it was great.
It's like a deep tissue massage, right?
Yeah. I also had the cheap version, which is a car buffer, like an industrial $50, and it's great. But
modify it.
I don't even modify it. It's just that the head is big, so you can't get in specific, but it's incredibly powerful and cheap.
Okay.
So, yeah.
One thing we wanted to touch on is training through injuries and finding ways to keep it at the gym even if you get injured. Is that something you want to elaborate on a little bit before we finish up today? Or
a little bit, yeah. That's another thing that guys do, especially guys that are hard. Hardest work, I'm hard. It's like, no pain, no gain. Like we've all heard that one, but that gets misconstrued. It's like if your shoulder hurts from shoulder pressing, like don't just be a warrior. Like listen to that. Why? So
there's different kinds of pain, I guess.
There's different kinds of pain, and like pain is good. Lactic acid, leg pain after like a 20 rep squat, awesome. But if there's like a mechanical injury, like there's what I've learned. There's no movements you have to do, as much as I like to. I go on a flat bench today. It's like, okay, it doesn't work. Do an incline dumbbell. Like modify it so that it works for you. Like pain, there's no honor in pain on its own. And same with people dieting. It's like this thing I told myself was like, don't complain out loud. Like you chose this. Of course it's hard. But like, oh, this is so hard. I'm so hungry. It's like, nice.
No one wants to hear that.
And yeah, and you shouldn't even talk like that. It's like you chose this. But pain.
For the rest of us that aren't going to be professional bodybuilders, we're training to augment our sports, whether it's tennis, football, boxing, this and that.
Is that what it is? Sometimes it is. Yeah.
So how do we, for guys like myself, that bodybuilding isn't our end goal, but strength training is part of it, how many times a day or week would you do the weight training to supplement your lacrosse or your rugby or this and that?
Not enough to interfere. So if you're really if you're a pro rugby player and that's your full focus, maybe only train 3 times a week strategically.
Okay.
Push, pull legs. I hate to say it, but that would probably be a good plan. Okay. But yeah, like for me, it's about bodybuilding, but it's also like you don't want your workouts to suffer. Like I see bad splits where it's like shoulders the day after chest. Yeah. That's not ideal. Put legs in between, Yeah. Let's see.
So what's the best way to do that? Would you work out with the weights in the morning? So if you're going to play soccer that night, or would you do the weights after, say, soccer?
Okay. Sure. Again, depends what you're trying to really prioritize your energy for.
Well, I'm trying to think if you lift weights and maybe you tighten up and stuff and then go out and run and you pull a hamstring, which the guys in the NFL seem to do all the time because their quads are already overstressed and worked.
I've heard NBA players talk, some of them, where they train, the ambitious ones, they train after the game.
Okay.
Which is impressive to think about, but you can't train as well before the game.
When I was with the St. Boniface Mohawks in Winnipeg and I played with Bobby Hull Jr., this was the Cash League, Central Amateur Senior Hockey, guys would play and then go work out after.
Yeah.
And those guys are scary.
Well,
hockey's exhilarating and thrilling and strenuous enough, but to go lift weights after. So definitely the weights after as opposed to hurting yourself prior to or tightening yourself maybe.
I would say so, typically, yes. Okay. But a lot of people, I think, they don't have a sport they're focusing on. The average guy that wants to be in shape or woman. So there's a lot you can do in the gym.
As a hockey player walks down the street right now as we're discussing it.
But often hockey players do well. Like I know a guy who used to be in the NHL. He's in Victoria.
Right.
And he's competing in bodybuilding now, and he's 51 or something.
What's his name?
Should I say?
Not allowed to say. Jeff Cordell?
Jackson.
Oh,
probably know Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson Penny.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah.
He's had some injuries from hockey, like shoulders and stuff, but he trains pretty well.
That's right.
And he's got a great athletic background, so it's good to be a former athlete in anything, but especially explosive physical sport like hockey. Mm-hmm. And now
how much water a day are you doing?
I carry around a 4 liter, and I finish that in the winter. In the summer more sometimes, but I try and drink a lot of water, and I don't drink much other than water. Like 1 coffee a day and no juice, no artificial sweeteners. That's something that's relatively new for me, but I feel much better.
You're so strict when it comes to your diet.
But by design, it's like I'd be strict with the stuff I put in my fancy car.
Do you eat fruit?
In moderation.
Moderation.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. It's very sugary. When I'm dieting, I don't.
Okay, so sugar is sugar, regardless of what it comes from. I mean,
there's some variation, but it's calories that isn't protein.
Okay.
And it's not starch, so you can't really make it into glycogen as well.
If we took a field caliper or a fat caliper or something to you right now, what would your body percentage be?
Good question. I don't know exactly. I'd like to think like sub 10, but close to 10. It can get pretty near the 0 if you're really dieting properly. That's the goal. It's like 3%, 2%, like unregistered. How shredded can you be?
Yeah.
But typically it's not that comfortable. Like I can stay lean pretty well, but to be very, very lean is not comfortable. I have clients that are there now too. It's like they want this goal and they're starting to get there, like, really, really conditioned. But you lose sight of it because it's not fun anymore. It's like, so unless there's a show or unless it's like, why do I care? I'm hungry.
It leads into a good question I want to kind of finish on here. Is this something you see yourself doing for the rest of your life in the same capacity, or are you going to probably taper off something at some point, or like you're going to get down to a nice 230, comfortable 230 when you're in your 40s or something, or is that something you thought about at all?
I've thought about it a little, but it'll probably change. Just we'll see what happens. But I'm 30 now. I kind of had a feeling 30 would be a good life point where I could. The thing about bodybuilding is it's kind of an older sport because it takes so long to build, but also to establish a lifestyle that you can afford and build your life on it. So I think between 30 and 40 will be my competitive prime. Mm-hmm. Probably shut it down around 40, but not everyone does. Mm-hmm. And shut it down, I mean, a little more moderate.
Taper off.
Yeah, but for sure this will be in my life forever.
Maybe get into coaching more rather than doing it yourself, or find something else.
Different.
It's hard to say exactly 10 years down the line.
Yeah, as much as I love coaching, I think there's a limit to how much you can. I'm almost there now. It's kind of like, once again, that ceiling where if only I could be a trainer and have a full client list and charge a lot of money and have good clients. Yeah, I did that now. So I need a new focus, business-wise and worldwide. So, and competing also, but competing is not my passion.
With a minute or so left to go here, Jesse.
Sure.
We're going to have a part 3 pretty soon. But let's put it this way. You're so very popular with your the first episode of the High Noon 1620 podcast. What would you say to a group of people out there that weren't motivated to go to the gym but were afraid, a little intimidated? How would you get them up off their ass into the gym? What could you say or do if you were getting paid as a professional and they called you? What would you do to motivate?
I mean, I would say meet me at the gym and let's go.
And then what happens? Are you like a drill sergeant?
I also am. The results are drill sergeant-y, but I'm laid back and funny. Okay. But it doesn't matter. Yeah. Like a client today was like, I was asking him a question like, should we put another plate on? And he's like, that's rhetorical, right? Like, you're not asking me. I'm like, no, I'm not asking you. I just want you to hear my thought process.
That's the nice way of saying we're putting another plate on.
Of course. And then another one after that. It's like, I'm kind of waiting for him to say, like, do we have to? And it's like, oh, what's wrong with you? I used to get that more. Like, do we have to do legs today? It's like, you don't have to be here at all. Like,
So yeah, that's not necessarily a good sign if they're asking those questions per se.
Well, none of them ask anymore because they all left. They dropped out. I fired them.
You've weaned them out.
I don't want those people.
Yeah,
they might be nice, but I don't care.
Yeah, because it's
not the same. Even with your questions, like I can be very motivating, but if you're paying me money from home to get me to motivate you to come to the gym, like I don't need your money. Let's meet at the gym. If you're not going to get there, well, I can't save everyone.
Yeah. Well, some people come to you because they have a low back pain.
Yeah.
And how would I strengthen my low back? It seems to be a common denominator. What kind of training would you put them on? With we got a minute left to go here.
Yeah. It's a long question or
Absolutely.
a long answer.
And we can get a hold of you where? At your Instagram?
That seems to be the best way. So
And
at Jess Jordan 222.
Jess Jordan at 222.
It's that's the way Instagram works. At Jess Jordan 222.
Ken just woke up from a coma. He had an injury in the 80s, and we just woke him up with the newest technology. So he's unfamiliar with this new social media. Jess, thank you very much for being on the show again.
Yeah.
For all who want to follow him, at Jess Jordan 222 on Instagram.
Yeah.
And we are at 1620 High Noon on Instagram and other social media platforms. 1620podcasts.com. And Ken, can we have a nice outro here, please,
Well,
sir?
thank you for being on the show here today and allowing us to entertain you from the 1620.com podcast. Health, sex, and longevity action is the main attraction. And we had the great Jess Jordan. Feel free to share this on YouTube, Instagram, your Twitter feed. We need to get more people healthy and fit. There's a part 1. This was part 2 with the Jess Jordan. A man of action.
And stay tuned for part 3 in the coming month, per se.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right on, right on, right on.